Let's go.
Let's go! And there's only one way to do it. Having a nice cold one, because what I'm going to draw this time around really requires me to be slightly intoxicated. Of course, this is an episode of Radio Rothingham, the world's least professional podcast on the entire internet. Drawing, I don't even know his name, but he's the dude from...
1/5 of the internet.
1/5? No, it's... Come on, we're the most unprofessional podcast on the entire internet. All of it.
A lot of podcasts.
I mean, there's a lot of podcasts out there. I like to believe that we're the most unprofessional of all the podcasts out there. Come on.
Including ours.
Well, we are the least professional podcast on the internet. So, yeah.
Including ours.
I mean,
they are even less professional than we are.
I mean, people, look at this microphone. This microphone just screams unprofessionalism. Like, it's just a shitty condenser mic with a spindle and a pop filter. It's so... why am I even trying?
Artrix, just the fact that you have a dedicated microphone is a sign. That's way too professional.
At the very least, you are using a microphone.
Is there such a thing as a multi-purpose microphone?
I just got quote-unquote Game 1 Ing headset from Zalman.
From Zalman, but Zalman's pretty good.
It was cheap as fuck, Artrix.
It's still Zalman. I had a Zalman CPU cooler. It's really cool.
Artrix, this is not a cooler. That's the first thing. Those are different technologies. And it was actually even cheaper than the shitty phone headphones that didn't even survive 200 falls on the ground.
Yeah, that is pretty shitty.
Remind me, I need to buy solder.
So yeah, new episode of Radio Rothingham, world's least professional podcast on the internet. There's a bunch of topics we can bring up, and since it is a drawing of that dude from the Nutshack, we got some terrible topics to go with it. I think I'll just start with the elephant in the room, which is... Actually, I can't choose. Okay, this is a democratic episode now, the super democracy now. So what do you guys want to talk about first? Trump declaring Israel to be the capital of Jerusalem, or even though they already decided on it back in '93, but they never.
Or how can a country be the capital of a city, Artrix?
Just like the way the Netherlands is the capital. Just like the way the Netherlands is the capital city of Amsterdam. To say. Or an equally terrible topic, which is so yeah. Apparently, there is a draft of the treaty between the UK and the EU when it comes to Brexit, and long story short, basically means that there's no Brexit. It's a really
silly.
It's a big surprise.
It's a soft Brexit. It's the.
Why would you do that?
It's
you already have
the economic.
The politicians just weaseled their way out of it, so all the Europhiles can just cheer and like, yay, we're gonna Brexit.
Just today, I read a news that people who lived in Britain for 10 years but never bothered to ask the offices for the stay permit are now getting stay permits, except the offices are not very welcome to them. Also, everybody's yelling at them to stop talking Polish and start talking English, and it's all very horrible, and nobody should live in England.
But, okay, to be fair, if you're living in the UK for 10 years, so you live there, you work there, you basically have made your living, and you still can say a word of English, in England no less.
Well, this particular person was talking Polish to their children. I don't know why would you talk Polish to your children, it's Polish, but hey.
Well, that's perfectly fine, but
both.
Yeah.
But at extent, your children will grow up to be Poles.
But if I were to move to Poland, I would teach my children to into Polish. I don't know. That seems to be like the right thing to do. You know, you move to a foreign country, they take you in, provide you with job and security and shit.
Not in Poland.
Okay.
But would you talk to your children in Netherlandish?
Well, if I'm in Poland, and I would have children in Poland, yes, I would initially speak Dutch to them. But I would also make sure that they speak Polish since we're in Poland. And if you want to do anything in Poland, you need to speak Polish. I don't even think you can get that far with English.
I don't think you can get anywhere with English.
I mean, I worked in retail. I know how bad a lot of Poles are speaking English. You know, they come up to you and like, they're just pointing at shit. You're like, I don't understand you. Can you say that in English? And then they just say something in Polish, and I'm like, oh, I don't.
No
understand.
habla English.
I just raise my shoulders like I don't understand, and then they get upset. They're like, oh my god, this guy doesn't understand Polish. I'm so upset.
Well, of course,
Kurwa.
it's like it's a Slavic language, which means it's one of the few real languages.
Sure.
So
Because Slavic is derived from Slovo, which means to speak.
Right.
Only Slavic languages are actual languages because only Slavic people can speak.
So Polish is kind of debatable. It's half German, and you know, Germany is like Germans are called Niemcy in Czech, which means like mute people, because you know you can understand them. That it's like no, they're not even speaking.
They just make weird animal noises.
Basically,
But yeah, the best thing was that you know, I'd look at the manager and the manager's like, yeah, that guy's an idiot. Just ignore him. So yeah, I had nothing to worry about. A manager be all like, oh, how dare you not help this Polish guy? Because the manager was equally like, oh, if that guy can't bother to speak Dutch or English, then fuck him.
yes. Well,
Yes.
in any case, so Britain is a terrible place to live unless you are a Briton. So you know, reading the news, it seems like there can't not be Brexit.
Well, they can. It's just going to be very slow and painful. I mean, they're basically going to be like Norway.
Oh god, that plate noise. That's awful.
Maybe they like it painful, Artrix.
Yeah, maybe that's their kink. I don't judge if you Britons like this really painful departure from the EU. I mean, Britain isn't exactly new to painful things.
And therefore,
Yeah, maybe it's like they're so happy they're going to be leaving EU, they want to drag it as long as possible so they can enjoy the feeling.
No, but I can't say I'm very surprised. We you know, virtually all politicians were, you know, anti-Brexit. None of them were really psyched about leaving the EU, except for maybe Nigel Farage. And of course, they put salt in the wound by cutting his EU pensions. You know, he spends all this time fucking around in the EU Parliament. Then the EU's like, you know, Farage, you're not getting your pensions. We're just gonna take them from you. I mean, I think Farage is gonna be just fine, and doesn't strike me as the kind of person that really needs it. But you know, it is very typical. Just saying, it's a very typical EU thing to do. Oh yeah, there was also some German dude, politician guy. Apparently, he's a big shot. I don't fucking care because
I have no idea who he is, but his name is Schulz.
Me neither, which makes it only worse.
Artrix, the last time I heard about a guy named Schulz, it was in the Steel City novel from Jules Verne.
Wait a minute, so we are talking about the same guy. Are you talking about the guy that's basically like, yes, we want a United States of Europe?
We!
Yeah, and I'm like, who's
fucking
this?
idiot.
I'm like, who's this we you speak of? I mean, I wasn't consulted. Did I get to vote on this?
The way it was presented to me, it was like he was saying that EU should go into full federation mode and kick everybody and anybody who disagrees, which is fine with me, because that's one way to get our independence back.
Yeah, that is kind of a weird way of wording it. If you want to have all these countries in this big federalized EU, and then you're like, yeah, if you don't like it, go away, and then everyone leaves.
And just like him at an empty table.
Mm-hmm. Go.
I guess I'm
so
EU now.
so yeah. She's like just empty. I was like, yay,
No,
federalized EU.
He would then use nuclear weapons against everyone who leaves.
But he can't because everyone's gone.
Everybody, literally everyone. He's the only one
the only one in the
EU
room.
building.
So yeah,
But he and the janitors.
so yeah, he can sit there and be his own little EU. While everyone's just minding their own goddamn business. But yeah, since we are de facto talking about it now, I guess we can wrap this up. so yeah.
Can we?
Well, I'm making you wrap this up. I just decided, I'm like Junker. I'm like, you don't need this democracy. It's overrated. We're just gonna decide it for you because you obviously know better than you. But yeah, so from what I gather, I mean, I haven't really looked into it, but the Brexit deal, as they have agreed upon, will basically cost Britain like a few billion euros. I'm not really that concerned about that, since they can, eventually just make that back in not
They
paying.
can make more euros.
Yes, they can make more. Oh, there would be pounds, obviously.
Exactly.
I mean, the UK economy is chugging along just fine.
UK.
The UK, not the EUK, the UK. Come on.
Obviously, they are doing too fine because they're like, oh no, Trump said a word, let's ban him from the country.
Oh yeah, that was pretty shitty. But as an independent country, they can do that. If they decide we don't want to have Trump in our country, then it is rather stupid in the sense that the US and the UK has a very special relationship diplomatically and militarily and intelligence gathering. They're pretty close buds. Would you agree, Tridge?
Close buds? EU and who?
No,
Wait, I lost track of what was going on.
The US and the UK. I know all
Yes.
these short names, all these letters can be confusing. UK, EU,
It's
US.
like alphabet soup.
Yes.
But
I'll join you guys. So I live in the NL and Sekele is in the SK, and Xaverius is in the CZ, which doesn't really roll off the tongue, but
We're gonna need more letters.
all of them.
But I mean, we only refer to it as the U.S. because it's not actually a real name. It's like where we are and what we are, but not the name of the place.
No,
Well,
the Tridgeon, where you are is North America.
Then what is it?
Then what is it? It's like the name of the whole region. It's like this entire hemisphere. It's the United Peoples within a hemisphere. It's actually a pretty terrible name.
Well,
At least England has England, and Scotland and Ireland make up the United Kingdom. But I don't know. I guess it was named by people that thought more of their state than they did of their.
I mean, Tridgeon, United Kingdom and United States, that's basically the same thing. It's like, we are a kingdom and we happen to be united. And the US is like, yes, well, we are going to be a bunch of states who are united.
And we've gone to
and then
better
they
than
proceed
you.
to shit on all the states and being like, no, it has nothing to do with that. It's all it's all about this whole grand thing.
But the thing about the United States is like there's nothing else claiming to be the United States. If you had another,
Nobody else wants to.
But here,
yeah,
get this.
if I mean, imagine.
Mexico
Well, they're
is
they're the Estados Mexico, but there you
That's
go.
true.
They opted to call themselves Mexico.
yeah, they did. They actually made themselves a name. But if you look at what they are a group of collective United States within America.
They are they have, from what I gather, they have exactly the same governmental structure as the United States. They have states, and they have a fairly high degree of autonomy. The only difference really is that, well, Mexico is kind of smaller, even though it's got roughly 1/3 of the population of the US. So it's not really that small in terms of pure numbers. But it's the same. Its basic governmental structure is the same. I would even say that Canada is a lot more different than the United States in that regard.
The United Provinces of America would just be an awful name, though.
That too.
I don't know. I think that the U.S. has not a real name. Is all I'm saying. I mean, they could have called themselves Columbia, but someone else already took that.
That would have. That's the thing. Someone beats you to it, because it would have been a really awesome name. Anyway.
Have you actually heard the story?
Yes, the US and the UK are really close.
By the way, have you actually heard that story about the US citizen, like the member state Colombia, who got deported into the South American country Colombia because some numbskull misinterpreted their license?
Oh God. That sounds
I
awful.
heard it like a year ago about this.
That sounds like a failing of our ID system, which is.
I mean, you do get a story here and there about some person not believing that a state on an ID that's on the other side of the American continent actually exists.
It's probably more to do with the way IDs are done. States individually are starting to get towards a ID system that's not based on the driver's license.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, yes. Not everyone drives. Well, in the United States, most people drive, but it's still not everyone. And so as this happens, I don't know, a lot of places would be really suspicious of an ID that wasn't a driver's license.
Oh.
Like trying to get into a bar by showing them your library card or something. It's probably the source of a lot of these things, because it's still new here. But that's a whole nother topic. Why were we talking about the US and the UK?
I don't know.
Because Brexit.
Because Brexit, yes.
Oh, because Brexit. Well, I don't know. It doesn't really affect me much, aside from if I like the idea of a united Europe, but it doesn't have to be united behind some sort of totalitarian individual state. If the individual
obviously, Tridgeon, look, it's not truly united unless the same 20 people decide on everything.
Yeah.
And
I mean, in the end, it doesn't really affect me too much.
And all of those 20 people are either German or French.
And they're like 8 years old each. The thing is, EU is already bogged down and famous for its absolutely inflexible and rigid bureaucracy. Now imagine if it was actual federation top down.
There's a reason why they call the EU government like the retirement home of Europe.
That does happen. I mean, every time the few politicians that retired from our politicianing all went to Brussels, just being a EU member of parliament now.
Yep.
Nobody ever heard about them again.
Yep. No accountability. You can just sit there, just rubber stamp laws. It's easy living. Getting thousands of euros just to be there. Get their own little office where they can do fuck all.
Get all the chocolate you can eat because Belgium.
Oh my God! Have you seen that documentary where they go into the parliament building and got saunas and shit? Those people are made. God damn.
Looking at a bunch of people working at a hot new tech job or something.
Yeah,
working at Google.
That's basically working at the EU in a nutshell.
Artrix, still not too late to get into politics.
You seem to be suggesting that politicians actually do work.
Yes.
Which is confusing.
But Tridgeon, every time I look at a recording of some parliament stuff, I see all of them sleeping. That must be a real tiring job.
I mean, if they're actually there, then they're doing better than my representatives. So
Yeah, isn't that the reason why some of the more controversial laws, like the one that basically introduced the IRS, was done during Christmas break? They're like, oh
Yep.
yeah, all these politicians are they're doing the Christmas break, so we're just going to introduce the IRS. That exists now. You now have to pay federal income tax, even though it's unconstitutional. It's a thing now.
more often something like that happens, and it's written off as, oh, not everyone was there, but more often it's something that's already decided that's going to happen. But if it's something controversial, most of the representatives won't show up to vote because they don't want their name associated with it. And so basically they will come down, everyone basically, Congress will get together and talk to each other for once and figure out hey, we need to pass the IRS because we got to get taxes. And then everyone comes and haws, comes to the conclusion of how everyone would vote, and they figure out, oh, it's going to pass. But then they do political, political fire control. They decide, okay, I'm going to vote, you're not going to vote. Okay, well, neither of us have to show up because together we equal net zero. So the only people that show up are the people that need to make it pass.
And those that have no friends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yes,
since
the ones that have no-
most of them are at home eating turkey, and the few lonely people, they're all for unconstitutional income tax. They're like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, it's like all these people are at home having fun. Fuck them. Let's tax everybody.
But yeah, basically, if the IRS wasn't going to pass, if everyone was there, then the vote would have gone the other way, or everyone would show up and fight it.
Mhm.
But I mean, these things, it's really just a circus. It's a product of the two-party system we have, where
Mhm.
everything is negotiated and palms are greased, and it's, I don't know, really horribly corrupt.
Yeah,
Look at what's happening with net neutrality.
Yep. And it doesn't really fucking matter, in the sense that I mean, this isn't even something that would benefit the GOP. I'm actually kind of surprised that they would still try and get this passed, because if this does go through, the companies that would probably benefit the most from it are the big, well, highly liberal leaning tech companies that could push their censorship even further.
I think most of what it is one, there's a lot of money involved, and these politicians can get paid a lot of money to push this agenda. And two, basically half of the Republicans that are in Congress right now have gotten their positions by running on an anti-Obama platform, and because the conservative populace in the U.S.
Well, yes, Tridgeon. Usually it's like that. It's like, you don't like the government that was before us. Well, we are different.
Trust
and
us.
then you get all the free votes.
Yeah, it's a little bit of that, but one of the major things that Obama did was he had the FCC's clarify their position on enforcing net neutrality and passed clear and unambiguous wording into law about what was then the policy of net neutrality. And so basically it was a big thing Obama did. So currently there's all these people that were elected in the office to break down everything Obama did. They're currently doing that. In a weird way, it's actually the conservatives actually doing their job because they are representing the votes and voices of conservative America. In this case, it just turns out conservative America doesn't actually the policies that they're voting for are actually really stupid in this case.
Definitely in this case. And if you're a Republican, and I've seen some Republicans actually defending net neutrality, I'm like, no.
Yeah. It's one of those things where once you clarify what the policy is and you explain it to someone, it's nonpartisan. But until then, it's just a political issue like anything else.
Yes. I mean, I am fairly in favor of free markets and whatnot, but then you get into the anarcho-capitalist territory where it's like, everything should be free market. No, government intervention whatsoever. Nothing at all.
I'm pretty convinced, and this would probably be an unpopular opinion on the internet, that the most like fiscally conservative, appropriate thing to do as far as an American Republican would be to push for a like reducing the monopoly of the communication companies, allow them to compete, legislate them so that they force them out of their monopolies that they've built around themselves.
That sounds fairly anarcho-capitalist in the sense that, yeah, break up these monopolies.
And if we had something like that going on, then we wouldn't need net neutrality as a rule, because then you could argue, hey, this is just, government oversight, and we in the U.S. like the capitalist system to maintain itself, because that's the most efficient way to do it. But currently, right now, there is no there is no competition. There is no real, true capitalist system to manage itself.
Yeah, you have one company on the east side of the city and another company on the west side of the city.
Yes, just move to get better internet.
Yeah, so
that's how you vote.
I've seen people describe the kind of capitalism practiced a lot in America as crony capitalism, which isn't really capitalism. I mean, it kind of masquerades itself as capitalism, but it's basically just
it's just as capitalist as China is communist. It's bullshit.
Well, China is People's Democratic Republic of the
that oligarchy, is that the word I'm looking for?
Ruled by
few.
Yeah.
Who happen to be rich also.
Ruled by the rich probably has its own word. I can't think of it though right now.
I mean, rich people having influence is to be expected, but it shouldn't be disproportionate, and the government should be there to circumvent certain events due to people being rich. It's where
anyway, the biggest thing about the EU things going on right now, at least to me, is the current bizarre choice by the current presidential administration to separate themselves from a lot of political ties in NATO. And I don't. You might have a better idea of how this is changing, opinions as far as like the EU debate and whether to, ally yourself in this way or not. But it seems like a lot of allies, close allies to the U.S., are basically being told like, "Hey, we're no longer, military close allies and going to support each other. Now we're, competitors in business and economy, and we're going to." I mean, it was seeing the U.S. distancing themselves from Europe.
Yeah,
a lot of these things.
I don't get that impression at all.
Well, I get the opposite impression. I mean, ever since Trump was nice to the fucking Jews, Europe is like, oh no, especially Germany actually, which is the best thing.
Yeah.
The Germany said something to the effect of our relationships are diminished by this, and they are not going to be same ever, even though we can forgive at some point. Okay, so you have this Germany was fucking afraid of anything that even remotely resembles liking your own country, and then somebody says like, yeah, Jews are okay, give them the city, and you immediately fire up the Nazi gene and like, no, you are bad, don't help the Jews.
I mean, I don't think the problem is the problem isn't obviously one of heritage and discrimination in this case. Surprise for the Jews, because that's what they're used to.
Yes,
but
it's not. But I just love the coincidences that led to this.
The imagery is pretty hilarious in that sense. I mean, obviously everyone's upset because it's literally taking a city away from people that have owned it for thousands of years, since like the fall of the Roman Empire.
Yes.
And saying, this isn't yours anymore. It belongs to all these people that have been in Europe for thousands of years.
They're kind of all over the place because nobody liked them.
But hold on, now we're talking about Jerusalem now?
Apparently.
Possibly.
Because also Sekele wants to say something. Go ahead.
Are you saying I should bring up the thing with Teresa May?
No, but you want to say something, but then
I was just I was just making a joke about Germans and Jews, but you already
Beat you to it.
back.
All right.
We already stated the obvious. I just find it fun. It's like, okay, so UK doesn't like Trump for some time. Now Germany doesn't like Trump, so nobody likes America, and EU on the top of it wants to have a, well, that guy wants to have a federation, and the rest of EU just wants to
Get
what's the
on with
word?
their lives. So like,
No. The rest of the EU, they don't. They never want to get on with their lives. They want to get on with your life, Artrix. Damn it. The common together army thing.
mhm.
Yes. So one guy wants federation. Some other people want an army. That's for the EU, and now the countries have a choice of either spending the double or not having their own army. So coupled with not liking America, it might be even possible that EU's gonna be like, why do we even need NATO? Fuck off. And then there's no NATO.
But that's the
Yeah.
thing. That's the weird thing about NATO, because right now a lot of the way I understand it, the European countries that are part of NATO are basically held to this directive, which basically states you have to spend at least this portion of your GDP on defense. And also, one member state is attacked, so we all chip in to defend. So
Yes.
if
Which is kind of nice.
so if our favorite boogeyman Russia invades Poland for some reason, we're all obliged to chip in and liberate Poland. But
And then
the-
get nuked out of existence.
Really is like a pre-Cold War idea, though, in a lot of ways.
well, yeah, it's obviously it's made during the Cold War, so it's no wonder that it's kind of Cold War-y.
Yeah,
Well,
but it's also just I don't know, the idea of modern large scale warfare being determined by series of alliances just seems so quaint.
well,
these days.
at least like to be fair, NATO was a reaction to the World War, the second
That too.
sequel. The
But
sequel to World War, and the reaction to NATO, like the Cold War thing, was actually the Warsaw Pact,
Yeah, because the Warsaw,
which funnily enough was never used in war. It was more used in helping countries that were already in the Soviet bloc from the nasty democracy.
to stay Soviet, so to speak.
Yes.
It's like, yeah, it looks like you got a few peasants in your country that don't want this communism anymore. Well, that's an attack.
Oh, your president doesn't want the glorious communism anymore. Well, we're just gonna invite him into Moscow, and look, he's being held here for 2 months while we send tanks to you.
GG.
Honest mistake, comrade.
But
And then they forget their tanks at your place forever. That just happens.
the thing is that considering that NATO basically consists of all of Europe, I don't see much of a reason for there be another military alignment, but this time headed by the EU.
Artrix, you need to get to the EU Parliament. Tell them this.
So they need an army so they can use violence against the people of the European Union if they ever even think about such thing as leaving.
So are you saying EU is some sort of despotic state thingy?
Yes.
Where did I see this before? Top-down ruled, central planned, bunch of states with an army.
Oh, and old guys don't forget that. I mean, have you ever seen the leader of the DDR?
It's possible. I know he was kissing the leader of the Soviet Union, and they're both very old.
I mean, that guy. That has got to be one of the least. It's got to be one of the least charismatic leaders I've ever seen. I mean, he was supposed to be one of the most powerful men in the world. And he comes.
That there was actually one point in the Soviet Union where all the newly elected chairmen just kept dying like year or 3 years after the last one because everybody was just so old they wouldn't hold up.
GG. Anyway,
So they had to get some young young strong people who were only like 40 in there.
only like 40.
Yeah, I mean that was Gorbachev.
Wait, Gorbachev was only 40?
I think he was when he started his political stuff.
Well, okay, when he started, because the way I remember him, he was an old fart. But the last time I checked, he was still alive. He might have died.
Yes, he is still alive, indeed.
Last time I checked his whereabouts was like in 2010 or something, and was like, oh, he's still walking around, just doing shit. Just an average Joe.
No,
Just-
okay, it wasn't Gorbachev. He was like 60 when he was.
Also,
Like,
was it Gorbachev or Yeltsin that was in a McDonald's commercial just after the fall of the Soviet Union? That was great. Like the Soviet Union fell, and then you had like a leader of the Soviet Union just be in the commercials like, oh yeah, I'm just sitting here having a hamburger. Communism. I mean capitalism. No, they still have to get used to it.
Yeah, Gorbachev is 86 this year.
Oh, that's not too old.
But
He
yeah,
was-
isn't he also like a major contributor towards that handoff? I mean, I guess he was in office from 1990 to 91, so
yeah.
he was like,
He was essentially less premier of the Soviet Union because
Okay, Artrix, possibly this young strong man was Khrushchev. I don't know what you spelled it in English. He was like 50 when he started his political stuff. So yeah, he was chairman when he was just after 50. That's young by their standards back then.
yeah, that's really young for a head of state.
It's really young for the Soviet
Soviet,
Union. It's like everybody's like 84 and they die 9 months after entering the office.
or the EU for that matter.
Or the EU, yes, but
Yes,
unfortunately nobody of them died in Arctics. They are too young.
Oh God, are gonna have like an EU funded funeral whenever one of these dudes dies? Like it.
And just like in communism, they are going to drive like tens of thousands of people to streets so they can be sad.
You're not crying.
That's why-
You're not crying enough. Here's a fine.
That's why
Oh.
Marin is building their new rockets to launch all the dead EU presidents into space from the French Guiana.
Yeah. So they can live the European dream, whatever that is.
Space.
Maybe we can trick Kim Jong-un to use his one rocket to hit the Brussels.
But
That's
It will most likely hit San Francisco, which is also good.
okay. Sekele, but do we actually know he can aim the thing? Isn't it just?
Isn't it pretty understood that the latest rockets the engines are coming from the Ukraine? I've seen it speculated, and that because there's pretty large munitions and rocket factories in the area that's been annexed. And I thought it was kind of a speculation that the reason why the new North Korean rockets aren't crashing and burning like the old ones is because they're actually getting engines sourced from.
That they are getting engines from a country that can make stuff.
Yes, that they're actually getting them from people that know what they're doing.
well, relatively speaking, I mean, come on, it is Ukraine. Just
I
saying.
mean, it's only the place where the first like successful rockets of this scale were made ever.
But do we know he can aim them? Isn't he like just firing them in the general direction and hoping it's gonna work?
I mean, that was the biggest in the article I read. I can't remember where it was. That was speculating that they were actually coming from the Ukraine. A lot of it they were basing it off of was the fact that they can actually aim the rockets now. By giving
Such a glorious advance.
which apparently in rocketry is evidently quite difficult to do. So
Possibly it is. You basically have a tube full of fuel that has fucking
yes,
megaton engines at the end.
Xaverius becoming a rocket scientist to show up everyone else. See, this isn't that hard. It's just rockets.
I played Kerbal Space Program. It's not that difficult.
I can into space. Right time to color this fucker. Though I doubt he's getting a lot of fucking done. I'm talking about this dude from the Nutshack, of course.
Is that a metal hat?
I don't know what it is.
He kind of looks like a Johnny Appleseed figure.
Well, have you ever seen the show, Tridge?
No, I haven't.
Well, consider yourself lucky. It's not a very good show.
Also,
I think it was made by Filipino immigrants in the southern parts of USA.
Yeah, so it's like that Ugandan movie, but with none of the charm.
what
Because
it was made out of Atlanta.
I think.
Okay, because that's a huge center for cartoons here. There's been some, like Cartoon Network is
Oh yeah.
basically based out of Atlanta.
Oh, I've been to the United. Yeah, I've been to the Atlanta. No, was it Atlanta? Yeah, Atlanta, Georgia. I've been to the Cartoon Network thingy over there.
It's like right across the street from the Coca-Cola plant or something.
Yes, and Olympic Park is just there too. It's
Ooh, that's the place I think the best torch lighting ever. Where they lit the Olympic torch with a archer with a flaming arrow.
Yeah,
It's the best.
I walked right through it. It was very yes, it's a thing that happens. I
Also,
was there.
The Indian company that bought the entire Royal Nepalese Monarchy's arsenal has all of that stuff in Atlanta now too. So if you want to see like Victorian era brass cannons and brown bess rifles and crates full of Nepalese kukris, Atlanta's the place to go.
Cool. Also, there was a big Philips store or office there as well. And like, Philips here too.
It's everywhere.
Yes. Philips is a Dutch company.
So how did you survive Atlanta's highway system?
Well, I wasn't driving, so I had that going for me.
See,
Good
Tridgeon. He was trained on the French highway system.
That too.
Atlanta's worse.
Okay, really, because French.
Except for if you're trying to not starve to death, because
Okay.
my god, in France it's impossible to find food to go. Or
Tridgeon,
my god,
Tridgeon.
if you like try to like get water from a public source.
Have you seen French roads, Tridgeon?
Yes.
Okay, so you probably know they alternate between no signs whatsoever and 70 signs per square meter.
Yeah, because all their sign system is based on pointing where things are, not where you are. It's very different than the US signage.
It's very
Also, they sometimes show several things that are contradictory.
Yeah.
Like no turn right and then turn right. And it's the only direction you can turn in, except you can't turn in it. Also, from what my friend said, who one day decided that he's too bored and just went to Marseille in his car, some of the cities or towns have such narrow streets that he finally understood why French make such tiny cars.
Yeah,
Because
there's a lot of
he couldn't fit in there.
There's a lot of city streets in France that you're just simply not supposed to drive on.
They do anyway.
Everyone's, riding bicycles or walking, and you're trying to drive through. Like, why is no one else driving here?
basically.
No, Tridgeon. If it was in France, then obviously the street is full of those tiny cars, even though they are not supposed to drive there. But
They do it anyway.
French signs, so you have no idea. They have no idea. I think they're placing them at random.
And the local populace doesn't care.
It's like, okay, so So this already has some less signs. Let's put another one here, so it's not alone.
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 Yeah. Yeah, friend. To be perfectly fair, I've driven through France back in 2016, and it was pretty alright. But then again, I was probably in one of the better regions of the country, where they actually maintain their roads, and it makes sense.
Artrix, next time, try it in Calais.
Have
Have an obstacle course.
Well, okay. Right now, you don't want to drive in Calais for obvious reasons, but
look, Artrix. It's like Iron Man mode. It's a challenge.
Yes. But I've driven,
especially if you are a truck driver.
I've driven to Calais, before this whole mess began, and it was pretty
like
chill.
driving to Calais in a truck. That's New Game Plus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't want to be. Well, supposedly they've managed to clean up the area a little bit. They're like, yeah, all these shanty towns, we're just going to bulldoze them.
Well, I had like half of the migrants left and just left everything behind.
Well, and then just bulldoze everything. I mean, it's not their property. Fuck off. Also, yeah, considering that they were essentially just littering the streets and just stopping people on the outer routes, yeah, don't do
They're
that.
littering our streets with their tiny houses.
Well, they were throwing all sorts of crap on the road to stop random trucks and whatnot. Obviously, with the intention to get on and get a lift to Britain.
But imagine if you already are smuggling people.
Yeah, then you have to disappoint them and like, no, you can't get on. Why? Because there's already people in there. No, fuck off. Anyway, what did start this whole conversation? Because we're already halfway through, and
Probably EU, Artrix. Probably EU.
Yeah, we were talking about Brexit. So yeah.
So the bottom line is we don't like it much.
Well,
that they are turning around on their word.
Yeah. So from what I gather, what essentially happened is so they got an agreement, sort of. Of course, there's plenty of room for conspiracy theories, like Teresa May deliberately called for new elections so she could get the minority and could just get the Brexit deal she wanted without losing face or whatever. But essentially so it's like only EU citizens can just migrate to the UK, no problem, or what? Also, they have to pay a big fine, and they're still bound to EU regulation to a certain degree. So like I said, they're essentially becoming Norway, which is, for all intents and purposes, part of the EU, but not really.
The question about this is like, I always have this question when somebody makes a decision like this. Is it worth it? It's like subverting your stated goals towards the fact you are never going to be voted in the office again.
Well, given that, I think Theresa May is pretty much done.
I don't mean Theresa May. I mean like her party.
The Conservative Party.
Yes.
Yes, because now everyone's like, yeah. So why would I bother voting for this party if they're just going to do whatever the fuck they want anyways?
Yeah.
Other choice.
It's like, really, it's either you'll get 4 years and fuck everybody up and nobody will like you, or you are going to be more friendly to the people, maybe get voted again. I don't get it. I mean, you can see that over here. Like, you have a party, and it gets voted into government, and then they do some shit people don't like, and then the next elections, yes, the next cycle of the universe, they are not voted. And they are just gonna split the party up and create a new one, so they can be like, okay, we are like the last people, we are the people from the last time, but we are not the party from the last time. We are now slightly different, and then they have a new shot at the voting stuff, and they have a new opportunity to disappoint us all over again. And that's just how it goes. But they reach some threshold when people are not amused anymore because this year, all those split Democratic parties got like 8% each.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So the most percent was that. I actually don't know what to call it, like where on the politics spectrum to put it, because when I looked it up on the internet, it's either left or centrist or right. So hey, the point is that their boss is like a guy who uses the state's economy to remove his opponents. Like, okay, you have this company and it's doing well. Well, I want to do the same business as you, so.
Can't do that. Not in my
let's,
Czech
let's,
Republic.
let's make a law that fucks you up. Also, he turns out to be the first. By the way, he's a prime minister now. He's our first prime minister that's already investigated by police. Usually they like wait a bit.
But police like, fuck that shit. We're going to investigate him right away.
Well, yeah, he still has some problems from the last time, but apparently that doesn't matter or something. Usually you are a politician, you get voted in, and then somebody discovers your scandals and you fuck off, sometimes even to jail, or in case of the last guy, like in a limbo of not being in jail but not being completely free for the last 7 years.
Yeah, it's like you, it's like you're a free man and everything, but you can't really do much.
Yeah, probably not even leave the country.
Yeah.
And tell you don't go to politics again. But here, this guy gets suspected, investigated, almost convicted of something. I think they stopped that because there was not enough proof or something, not enough evidence. And then you get voted. Then your party wins. Then you become the prime minister. All the while, the investigation is still going.
Well, see, look from the bright side. He may get impeached, and then you can get to vote something again. Which may.
Artrix, look, this is Czech Republic. Our governments. This last government lasted all 4 years, which was very interesting and new.
Oh, so you're
it
not quite familiar to terms that are longer than 2 days. Gotcha.
And it almost fell apart in January.
It almost sounds like Italy, to be honest. Are you trying to be Italy? Czechia?
No, we're trying to be Belgium.
Oh. So
with their 2.5 years without government.
I was going to say that. So basically, you were spending 2 years without a coalition. It's like, yeah, we elected these guys, but they're not really governing anything. They
can't agree on this. Actually, our government still can't agree on anything. They don't know who's gonna be with whom. Some people who promised are now declining and shit.
Grand.
Also, people are comparing that guy to Trump because he's rich and he manipulated poor people. Except for that, he's nothing like Trump.
Come on, just like Gamergate, Trump has also just become this boogeyman. If you don't like it, you just call it Trump and you all.
I mean, decidedly he is rich, but the last time I didn't notice that Trump would just use laws to fuck up everything who's owning companies that's not him.
Anyway, I'm just going to switch topics now because we've been droning on about the EU quite a bit now. So let's switch
to something. But I was droning about Czech Republic right now, not EU. Artrix, get a grip.
But it's also about politics. So we'll talk
about...
Oh,
by the way, Artrix.
No.
Not that you mentioned EU again. Do
Let
you know...
change the topic.
Look, Tridgeon, this is important. Do you know we are being sued? We are being sued by the EU again. And Poland and Hungary.
So the V group thingy is being sued?
Well, I don't think Slovakia is. I think they didn't notice it because it's too small.
We actually got out thanks to a loophole.
GG.
Surprised.
Anyway, what is it?
They were too small. Slovakia is too small to be noticed. That's the loophole.
But what were you being sued for?
Not liking brown people, basically.
Oh, okay.
Basically, for refusing to sending them all to their countries and giving them free money.
Right.
Like, for not doing that.
Oh, did you know Poland was jealous of us? Some politician was like, Yeah, actually, Czech Republic did the right thing. They accepted like 10 migrants, so they can say they did their part.
Hmm.
Well, Poland didn't accept anybody, I think.
Well, GG, I guess. Anyway, let's move on to the next topic. And we already kind of talked about it, but I just want to get this over with. So, okay. So back in 1993, the United States Congress was like, you know what, there's this country, it's called Israel, and it's, its capital, as it says, it's in its own
And then
constitution.
Artrix switched from politics to politics.
Yes.
Different politics.
And in this constitution of Israel, it says that the capital is in Jerusalem, but for some reason, all our embassies and whatnot, they're all in Tel Aviv.
Wait, there's a beach, Artrix.
The what now?
It has a beach.
Yes. So, that's more of a reason to move it over to Jerusalem, to actually have your staff working instead of just hanging out at the beach all the time.
But they wouldn't be working anyway. They'd be like, there's no beach. We are depressed.
Well, then you send them to the beach. They have an incentive to waste tax money. Come on, think like a politician. Come on. Anyway. So essentially, what Trump did was just announce, okay, we're now going to officially recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, and we're just gonna move our shit over to the capital because we decided to do this anyway. I'm just enforcing it. And personally, I don't really care all that much about Israel. It's like, okay, it's a country that exists, grand. I might want to visit it sometime, but I'm not really pressed or anything. It's like, might be cool.
It's a country? Would you believe this?
Well, if Poland balls anything go by, it's a hypercube, but yes. So yeah, but unsurprisingly, a lot of people are very upset because reasons. Well,
yes.
We know why, because a lot of people think Israel's an illegitimate
Because
country.
a lot of people are anti-Semitic. Say it as it is.
I mean, it's a lot more complicated than that. It's like, yes, the reasons behind creating Israel were to address a serious problem, meaning the Jews have constantly had to deal with people trying to kill them the entire time they've been in Europe, and someone had the great idea, like, solve all these problems by giving them back their homeland. But this is all made by people that had these concepts from reading the Old Testament and having no concept of what the reality was.
Yeah, what actually happened. Also,
ended up carving out a slice of land in very, like, imperialistic European fashion and saying, this all belongs to you now. And then people that lived there were kind of just like, WTF, mate?
Yeah, don't get
Tridgeon, wasn't it originally like Britain or somebody needing help, really help in the war? So they were like, yeah, if you help us, we are going to give you your own country after this is over. And they promised it to everybody who lived there.
Yeah, it was an extremely common thing to do.
So they have like 3 countries in the space of one.
Don't get me wrong. The way Israel was created was highly retarded. I was like, yeah, like you said, it's like, yeah, we'll just you have this piece of land, and we'll put it right here because Testament. And Jews are obviously happy, but the rest of the planet was like, yeah, like WTF, May.
But the rest of the planet was not.
There's a lot of people out there that just want some sort of recognition of that they were there and have a claim on the place, and then but that goes completely at odds with, no, this is going to be set aside for this whole group of people, and I don't know, the whole thing is mired in ideas of race and religion,
and especially religion
policy, and it's just a terrible idea.
I mean, I talked to a Muslim not too long ago, and he's like the most chill dude you can imagine. Like, you cannot look at that guy and be like, oh, he's mean or anything. He's like super agreeable, super chill. But then suddenly he brought up Israel. It's like, oh, well, not specifically Israel, but the Jews. Like, you know what's the problem in the world? The Jews. I was like,
Imagine if you lived there, then you have a lot of
Yeah.
reasons to back that up. Because it's like, hey, this is all these
Yeah.
people are coming to take what's ours, and
but
I
then
don't know,
again,
it's
imagine being a Jew, being born in Israel, and you're like, yeah, this is the way I've known it.
yeah, it's
And-
all fucked up.
And it also goes to show that in the end, might makes right, and it was eventually conquered and colonized by the Jewish. I mean, the same can be said about a lot of rulers that just happen to be the most powerful entities in the region, and they consolidated their power in that region.
I mean, that's how the USA came into existence.
Oh yeah.
So
You know,
yeah,
that
you're
was
so by
even more
by,
fucked
by
up.
having this whole discussion about Israel, you get to the very discussion of what exactly makes a I think it's also a matter of it's a very recent phenomenon. You know, usually when we're talking about the creation of countries, it's something that happened a long time ago. So people have really gotten accustomed to the fact that yes, this country exists. It's been here.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
mean,
we
or
all
it's-
agree it's here. But Israel's
Yeah.
like that shit didn't exist about 5 decades ago. Well, more like 7, but I digress.
Yep, and it's also just at the epicenter of so many different important political and social movements that everything that happens there is magnified 100 times. Not to mention, isn't Israel also a nuclear power now?
Yep, it is.
So
Which
that
is
makes
probably
things
one of the
extra spicy.
which is probably one of the reasons why no Arabic country has even attempted to attack it, because if we attack Israel, then we'll probably get nuked.
I mean, also the whole 7 days
Artrix
war
that.
thing.
Yeah.
And then there's Iran that's kind of trying to do it, but
I mean,
Yep.
they tried at some point, and then the Jews were like, no, we are gonna fucking occupy you, you fucks.
But yeah, in the large scheme of things, I don't think the US they're not even declaring, they're just recognizing that okay, Israel decided to have Jerusalem as its capital. We're just gonna recognize it, and we already did. We just didn't enforce it yet. So it's not even like they just have gotten to the decision. The decision was already made. They just didn't act on it yet.
Yeah,
So it's
I mean,
really-
there's lots of reasons to do it that make sense, but the timing seems to be pretty. I don't know. It's like there's still a definite huge conflict going on, and the U.S. is attempting to still have allies in the Middle East. Sticking your hand in a hornet's nest, we don't need to. Like, we don't need to. Israel can take care of themselves at this point. Yeah, we're really close allies and do a lot of shit together, but we're also trying to, do shit with other people in the Middle East, and I don't know, if we're trying to not fuck things up any more than we have in the Middle East, it's an odd move, which I
Yeah,
guess
this-
just reinforces.
It's odd, but I think ultimately it's not going to be a deal breaker. There, for one thing, the Arabic countries are not going to give a commerce because they just moved their embassy to Jerusalem, which is
It's just more really heavy-handed international diplomacy by an administration with a really bad track record, and yeah, they'll just add it to the list of stupid shit that's been done. It's not a change in policy. It's just a really strange, unnecessary gesture.
Yeah, but that's just about it. I think that people are making it a much bigger issue than it really is. I mean, I think part of it is, there's a lot of anti-Trump sentiment, and I can definitely see why.
Plus, people
but-
just hate Jews.
But by giving this issue this disproportionate amount of attention, it may have the opposite effect where you're bringing it to the limelight, you're giving it attention.
I mean,
This could've-
granted, it is something that the evangelical right has been calling for in this country for a long time. And so for the right-wing U.S., it is seen as a big win.
Yes.
Because as far as conservative politics, more recognition of Israel has been seen as a desire by the right here for a while.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the things I really don't like about the current U.S. Administration, much like the Bush years, by the way. It's just this weird obsession with.
It's entirely rooted in the connection between the right side of governance here and Christian religion.
Yes.
A lot of people see it as an acknowledgement of Christianity in our government. Because
when Trump just took office, I didn't really get the impression that religion was really that much of his platform, but it might just be me not paying attention. But once he took office, well, the religious overtones were definitely there. I don't really get the impression Trump himself is really that much into the Christian stuff. Like he's obviously
straight up.
Yeah.
He doesn't even. I mean, like the impression I got when he was starting to run was, and if you look at a lot of his public statements and things before he ran for president, he's extremely apolitical. He would do things that benefit both the right and the left. He was just primarily concerned with business and his own capitalistic concerns, and was really apolitical, areligious, non-religious, apolitical. But obviously, if you're a representative of, Republican America, he's picking up, what the party cares about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is, well, it was especially jarring to see someone like Pence being the vice president. I don't know, for some reason I just don't see that combination between Trump and Pence.
I personally consider Pence to be a dead man's switch. Basically, yeah, you try to get rid of me, now you are stuck with this guy. Sort of thing.
The master of lightning.
He's true.
Mike turning transgenders into transistors, Pence.
Jesus fucking Christ. But
yes, as I say, I have a feeling that he appointed Pence specifically as a safe switch.
Quite literally. These jokes never get old. Oh god, that's so retarded.
It's like Pence is Trump's circuit breaker.
Oh god.
No, more like a fuse.
Yeah, well, same principle.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an evolution of a fuse.
I mean, Pence even kind of looks like Bush. He's got the same dim-witted look.
Well, to me, he always looked like he's from the future when all people are the same race and all look like made of plastic. Brown skin, white hair. He's probably an android too.
Nice. Totally not robots.
Wait, you're saying that Pence is a robot? I would believe
Probably.
No, an android.
He was robot engineered by God himself.
I mean, look at Artrix. He has that artificial look about him. It's the hair, I think. It's like those Lego figures. That's the kind of hair he has.
Yeah. Oh god! Now I just want to try it out myself. Just pick up his hair and then just one piece. Just it comes with the skull and everything. You just take it off and you can see his brain. You're like, oh. It seems like you've accidentally moved your sculpt. It's like, oh, it's okay. I get that a lot. Don't worry.
It happens.
It happens. It's part of being Pence, Now give back my skull. I mean scalp, not the skull. If you were able to take his entire skull, then I would be even more worried. It's like you take off his skull and it's just this entire skull in your hand, while his head is just nothing but this goop of flesh and brains. Yeah, that's quite a terrifying concept. Let's not delve into that.
Speaking of terrifying and confusing things, did anyone see the Game Awards trailers? More
Uh,
specific-
Did
the
right? You
Kojima
mean
game?
Death Stranding?
Yes, Death Stranding. Artrix, did you see the Death Stranding trailer?
I think it looks awesome.
New Kojima game?
What happened, but it looks awesome.
I don't know.
I haven't
what's
seen
going-
it, but you guys seem to know, so go ahead and discuss it.
Wait, why don't you know what happened?
Okay, so Kojima is known more or less widespread for being insane. And
Yes.
but usually has been working for either like it's an early game of his, or he's working with another studio, or there's always been someone else around to tell him more or less what to do, or at the very least constrain the insanity. Like, you know, we get these amazing things like the really crazy, insane boss fights and like almost nonsensical story and like the Metal Gear Solid series, but it strings together. It makes sense, you know, a Cold War sci-fi story. Apparently,
Except for the last Metal Gear Solid, Phantom Pain, which
Yes.
apparently was the antithesis of Metal Gear games, because there were no interesting boss fights, it was open world, and there was next to no story.
well, this is what happens when you do open world in your games. It sucks.
Yes, indeed.
all out of it.
Also, it seems that he was at odds with whatever company was developing that shit.
But that also seems to be the theme of Kojima in studios. Well, apparently he's in this latest game, Death Stranding, which we know nothing about except for its name,
Yeah.
and this really effed up trailer that
Well,
they just
they
released.
are currently free trailers at this point.
There's
the first one
3.
recently released.
Oh my god, I've only seen the first one.
Well done.
But people are suspecting that he has entirely gotten his way with this game because the imagery is amazing, with invisible giant humanoid monsters stalking, you know, people on apparently an alien world, with language about, you know, a new Big Bang or beginning of life, and then
Also,
It's
tanks,
the attic of the 50-foot invisible whatever. Oh my god.
Yes.
also tanks and airplanes with umbilical cords.
yes, and
As you do.
inside of people's stomachs, giving the thumbs up symbol, and
You. Thumbs up.
it's the most bizarre and terrifying and confusing thing I've seen.
I'm pretty sure I saw the idea of machines with umbilical cords at some point somewhere.
Wait, this is related to that trailer that's like the guy on the beach and he's all naked and it's all philosophical and shit.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
That's
Yep.
the first trailer.
Oh, the first trailer said even less.
It was very too deep 7U.
Artrix was just looking at the nakedness.
Yeah, it was pretty lewd. I was like,
So-
oh my god. It was like Star Butterfly from the episode. I just looked at it like, oh my god, it's lewd.
So whatever it is, it looks really confusing, but it also looks gorgeous,
Amazing.
potentially poignant. I mean, we'll see what how the delivery is in the game itself. Like there so far has been no teasing of what gameplay might look like, or what type of world it is, or what
You don't need
it is,
gameplay.
or even what genre the game might be.
That's my problem with the Beyond Good and Evil 2 trailer. I'm like, yeah, that looked nice. So how about the game?
Artrix, you know games these days. It was... I mean, that's why some series get revivals like this. Well, I mean, Doom was good. We agree on that. But that can't be the case for all the games, so... They are basically just building on the hype. It's like, oh my god, this game that was supposed to come out in 2006 is finally coming out in 2019.
Yeah.
You still don't know what it's about, but it is.
Well, if you but
sure
here's the counter argument. So if you've been waiting like a decade for a sequel to a game that you really like, then waiting another week or two to see the reviews roll in and actually see YouTube footage and then realizing, oh, it's actually a piece of shite, that's not really that far-fetched, is it?
And that's how it become that I don't consider Diablo 3 to exist.
Because that came out, you watch a bunch of YouTube videos, you're like, nope, not playing this.
No, I was just like, I remember when we were sitting with a friend, we were, I think, still in elementary. And there was an article after they released the teasers of the Diablo 3 after they remade it, That was the original version that they scrapped, and that's why it took 12 years to develop. Well, we were debating the article. I think we had a gaming magazine. Yes, those existed back then.
Yes, yes.
And we were looking at the screenshots and reading this, like, I don't know, maybe it was 4 pages, maybe it was 10 pages on the topic. And I'm like, okay, there's a lot of hype here, but, with this amount of hype and expectations, I don't think it can ever live up to Diablo 2. And I had no idea how horribly right I was. Because then it released. It was the worst game Blizzard made until, like, Hearthstone.
Also, yeah, not touching Hearthstone with the 3-meter pole or 4-meter.
Okay, let me say this: it's fun until you realize they're releasing a new expansion every 2 hours.
I mean,
You have to plan.
it's basically one of those games where you just have to keep buying shit and you have.
Or keep playing like a whole day.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like fun.
Well, they restricted the fun part is that you can only get so much gold a day, so you have those daily quests.
And you use the gold to buy, game-related items that you use to play the game, don't you?
You can buy a pack of cards, and it's obviously RNG. I think you can get you get 10 gold for 3 wins, and you can only get 100 gold from that a day. So basically, all you have to do is win 30 times a day, and your gold limit is fulfilled. And you can buy a pack.
Right. Yeah, I am not gonna play that.
Well, you can do the daily quests, and then you get a bit more gold.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a grind. It's a grindy game about grindy stuff. That's why everybody plays.
It sounds like a very tedious game that has very little to do with skill.
Also, I like how, well, it has a lot to do with RNG. There's a disgusting amount of cards with random damage to everything on the board.
Well, okay,
it's most like this does 9 damage to everything on the board randomly. So it's just doing poke, 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 and then it starts poking you. So sometimes it can happen that you deal 3 damage to an enemy and 9 damage to yourself.
So
GG.
So in other words, it's gonna be a very exciting game if you're really into risk analysis and that sort of thing. Where
there's so much RNG bullshit you can even begin with risk analysis.
I don't know if you're a insurance broker, you're basically doing that shit all day long. So it's like.
Hello, is this the local insurance? Do you have Hearthstone insurance? I want to be insured against losing a game.
So it's like playing a road worker simulator. You live in Germany and like, oh yeah, I've worked an entire shift of building roads all day long. So I go home, and you know what I'm gonna do? I'm going to play Road Worker Simulator. Hooray!
Imagine that ad.
Sorry.
It's like imagine that ad. It's like every time I go back home from work, I feel really unfulfilled, like something's missing in my life. Then he just sees the Road Worker Simulator.
Oh yeah. Oh my god, this is what I always wanted. So
my job, but in a game form.
Yes. The
Now I can work. Now I can work even while I'm having fun.
I even got a virtual boss yelling at me for not doing the lines correctly. Yay!
Very exciting.
Would you play Road Worker Simulator, Tridge?
No, I'm not that big into simulator games.
Well, clearly you are not German.
Yeah. Well,
but have you seen the Airport Simulator? It's an amazing game where every action takes 15 minutes.
I've seen someone play. Well, okay, apparently Truck Simulator or Euro Truck Simulator is actually kind of fun, but you actually get to ride around and see shit. But
I like the big top-down simulator games, more like the tycoon games.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's Airport Simulator.
Like SimCity or like Roller Coaster
Cities
Tycoon.
City Skyline.
Skyline is really fun.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I don't know, when it's like literally someone else's job IRL, and I could probably get a job driving a truck if I wanted to, or a forklift. I've got some stuff in my resume.
but you know,
like,
in
climbing that ladder.
in Truck Simulator, you at least get to do your own finance and whatnot. So there's kind of that SimCity element to it. And of course you get to drive around. So, but I
Or
think
if you really want to do what you do at work in your spare time, become a programmer.
Programmer Simulator, I'm sure that exists.
Either you are going to be the guy
program
who just.
simulator would be the same as actual programming.
That's the point, Tridgeon. So either you become the guy who programs at work and then at home in spare time for his pet programming projects,
Brilliant.
or you get so much work you just live at you leave
Well,
home basically just to sleep, and then
see,
you
what
go
you-
back to work for
What you
the
do
next
is you
18-hour shift.
program simulator, and then you make it a game that people buy and play. But then what you do is you make it to where they're actually making real programming stuff. You steal their work that they make in a game and sell it. And that's the real game right there.
Do it, Tridgeon. Do it. And look, in this world of endless opportunities, where somebody made a app for iPhones that did nothing but display a red diamond, and it costs like $10,000 or $1,000, I don't know. And 6 people actually bought it before it was pulled down from the store.
Oh god.
Oh god.
So basically, it was the reasoning for it being so expensive and doing nothing was like, yeah, this thing is so expensive just because I can. So if you buy it, you have this expensive thing.
It's a status symbol.
It's exactly like diamonds.
Yeah. You buy it just.
Except that you can cut shit with diamonds.
Yes,
Well, it
I
kind of
guess.
depends on the kind of diamonds you buy. I mean, you obviously, you can cut shit with a pretty diamond, but you obviously don't want to use them for cutting.
But Artrix, those are the ones with the most pointy ends.
Yeah, but you can just manufacture those diamonds. It's actually not that hard, apparently. You just chuck a bunch of coal into a container, you explode it, and then you have diamond.
You press it a lot with explosions. You know, that was something I never got from an early age. If we can make synthetic diamonds, why is the price of them not being skyrocketed, or why doesn't the price of normal diamonds going down?
Because
we have the technology to make the same thing, except it's less old.
But we also have the technology to tell them apart.
so you can tell whether it was manufactured or just
Yep.
Yes.
dug out of the ground.
That's the reason between a few million years of compression and, well, explosions.
Yeah. Also, from what I gather, the exploded diamonds don't look as nice as the ones that occur in nature naturally.
You need to give it a few thousand years somewhere in the
Yeah.
dirt.
It's important that's been in the dirt for a long time.
Artrix, it's an investment. just buy synthetic diamonds today, dig them somewhere, and then 50,000 years later, just dig them up and sell them.
Yeah, I think I even rather buy Bitcoin than do that.
Oh, talking about Bitcoin, is it at 16,000 already?
Last time I checked, it was around 13k. So
Oh, it went down. Oh my god.
well, maybe it went up in the time. I can check it out.
Because the last time I checked, it was at 15,000. Okay, news 14 hours ago.
I can
Bitcoin on Coinbase for 19,340 USD, then dropped to 4,560.
I can check it right now. I even got the exchange right here. So one Bitcoin is currently 13,491 euros.
Okay.
And
Wasn't
in
it
US,
like 40,000 a few days ago?
and that's $15,882.
No,
That is-
15,828.10.
So it's
Sure.
back up? Is that what that means? I thought that they were
Well,
suffering
here-
some sort of collapse.
Well, that must have been really brief. I got the chart here. This is Rothingham, the economics episode now. So in the past 12 hours, it pretty much hovered around. It actually, wow, it fluctuated quite a bit. Its low was
Yeah.
14,500. Its high is currently close to 16,000. But yeah, as you can see, it's a highly volatile currency.
Okay, so wait.
It is a
What was the peak? This
oh my
I guess
god!
night was 17,000,
Look
and
at
apparently
this.
on Coinbase it was 19,000.
Look at this shit. So at the start of this week, it was sitting at 10,500. Now it's at 16,500.
Artrix, starting this year it was sitting at 1,000.
Yes, because well, as I go back 1 month and was sitting at 5,000. So I'm really kicking myself in the nuts now. Well, figuratively, because look at this. If I bought like 1,000 euros worth of Bitcoin back then, I could have basically doubled it. I could have made well over 1,000 euros in profit if I just made that plunge back then. But then again,
It's such a nonsensical thing, though. It's like staring at a slot machine and then seeing someone pull out a bunch of money, and you're like, "Oh man, if only I was the one."
In the case of Bitcoin, you would expect that. I actually did. The fun thing about Bitcoin is it always goes up, so it correlates to how much money I can spend. So when it was $300, which is not
how many times? Oh my god! Like you looking at the history, like it always goes up. Make sure to buy land in the 1930s or like in the 1990s. Oh no, it always goes up. Buy and sell houses. Never
well, Tridgeon. Look, when it was $300, which is nothing, I didn't have $300. I didn't even have a video card, so I couldn't mine it, even though it was possible still. Then it was 1,000. Yes, I didn't exactly have that much money yet because there was stuff I had to pay for. And now that I have that much money, it's like, well, I would have to be a billionaire to buy something with my poor slave money.
It's just really there's no. I mean, like right now you're looking at a graph with a line that goes up, and people are making a huge amount of hype out of it. There's nothing driving cryptocurrency going up. It hasn't become any more or less useful than it was a year ago.
You know what's driving cryptocurrency up?
A marketing frenzy right now.
The consensus it's valuable. That's it.
Well, it's
not exactly a smart thing to invest in.
It's not. Well, at this point, not. It was a smart thing to do like 2 years ago, or maybe 9 months. Well, at the start of the year when it was 1,000, basically. Mm-hmm. But now, with this level of volatility, I mean, I get it. It's not
literally a crapshoot.
It's not regulated. Yes, I understand that. So when there was that big transaction or two, it went to like 10 cents in a second, and in the next second it was back at 5,000 or whatever it was back then. But with these kind of fluctuations, when it just goes 3,000 up, 3,000 down, whatever, we don't care. I'm just waiting, and I did say this previously. I'm just waiting for the bubble to burst. The question is when it's going to burst and how much is it going to go down.
We know that this is going to burst at one point. That is inevitable.
It is known, Khaleesi.
I mean, it's not though. It could do a lot of things, especially if larger entities keep investing in it. I mean, the next biggest thing as far as changing how the currency itself works will be is when it gets mined out and then everything is held in assets. That'll be the real question of what it does.
That's supposed to happen in like 120 years. B, you know that the fact that everybody's investing into it because it's valuable, which in turn makes it more valuable even though there's no basis for it, and that makes more people invested, that makes it so fucking unstable.
Well, it's actually not that different from fiat currency in that regard because
that one is regulated. So yeah, once you invest into it, it kind of holds its rate mostly. But this thing just goes, well, you are rich. Well, in the next 5 seconds, you're going to be poor now. Bye.
Well, yeah, it's regulated, but that's the big difference. It's regulated, but
at best you could argue for Bitcoin that it's centralized, even though it's supposed to be decentralized. in that sense that everybody's mining and hiring farms, and the cheapest electricity is in China, so everybody's mining in China.
I mean, the fiat currency has value because we're being told it has value, or it's decreed it has value.
Well, Artrix, at least that's backed in gold.
No,
Okay.
it's not. No, it's not. Oh my God! Do you honestly believe that's still the case?
The only thing it's backed in is computer time, and the only reason why it has money is worth anything is because right now people will pay money to or services.
We were on the topic of fiat currency.
Artrix.
Yes.
Artrix.
Say it.
You can't deny the fact that gold exists. Yes, it's probably not at all the value they tell you that is, because they don't have that much gold. But in the event that there's going to be some large scale fallout thing, they can just hold out to gold and use the gold. Except, by that time nobody's gonna use gold as currency, and everybody's going to do currency stuff with people's teeth. But that's a different thing.
Yeah, but
here's
here's
use.
the thing, Xaverius.
Unless we are going to be trading with USB disks. I should buy some USB drives.
Xaverius does not listen to anyone.
Sorry?
Xaverius does not listen to anyone, ever.
I don't even listen to myself, come on.
Okay, but the reason why that is because gold has intrinsic value. But,
it's shiny.
Yes, it's shiny, and people generally want it.
That's the value, Artrix. It's shiny.
It's shiny, and you can use the computer hardware, I guess.
Oh my God, yes! Gold-plated HDMI collectors. We're going to be paying with those in post-apocalyptic.
No, but seriously, virtually all modern currencies are fiat currency, which means it's not backed by anything. It only has value because the government's forces to use that currency, and everyone believes it has value. Therefore, it has value.
So are you saying it's actually a meme?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. Fiat currency is just memes. It's just meme money.
You go to a shop. You put all the stuff on the counter, and the guy is like 20 euros. Like, come on, that's just a meme.
But yeah, a small portion of the money in circulation is backed by gold, but the vast majority in circulation is nothing but debt money. Someone creates a mortgage. Well, that puts a few thousand euros into circulation, which is gradually paid off. And the only way to have those euros in circulation is for someone else to have a loan, and just keeps going on forever. And that's how you get the fractional reserve banking system, which is very sustainable. It will go on forever. Don't worry.
And that's why you should invest in houses, right?
No, that's why you should. That's actually why you should invest in gold, because gold has intrinsic value, and the market for gold is actually fairly stable. So one good way to keep
because nobody wants gold. That's why. It's just like few people trading in it.
Yes, and if you become one of those people, you can become filthy rich.
Yes, because you can potentially sell the gold to the other people, because those are the only ones who are buying it.
Here's what's actually happening. So gold...
Alex, that's the problem with owning something that's valuable. You aren't actually rich. You are rich by the virtue of potential.
Well, yeah, because like I was going to say, you can gauge inflation by the price for gold. For instance, if the ECB decides to print a shit ton of euros for no goddamn reason, they're like, you know what? We're just going to print 1 billion euros.
Well, they're probably going to do that when the Federation is a thing.
Well, they probably do it on a daily basis. 1 billion isn't really that big isn't that much in large scheme.
Artrix, do you think the Federation euros won't have landmarks from each country anymore? It's just going to be standardized.
They already don't have landmarks from each country.
Well, okay, but okay. The concept that was told to me in school was that these banknotes and coins have stuff from their own countries on them.
No, they don't.
So
They
don't anymore.
They lied to you, Xaverius. They lied.
And I'm just saying that it would be fun if, in the case EU Federation happens, they would just replace it everything.
They
It's like,
would-
no national identity for you, bad country.
Yeah.
Everyone who speaks their native language, shotgun to the head.
Well, that's a given, but we are talking about coins now.
Well, that would be fine like, if I'm the one pulling the trigger, and preferably not, to someone's head. It would be nasty.
Maybe you can load the shotgun with the coins that you weren't gonna be using anymore.
Has anyone actually printed like a representation of Bitcoin?
Yes.
Of course, someone did. I think I've even seen like a Bitcoin ATM somewhere on the internet. It was really retarded.
Well, at least as a currency you can 3D print, but the coins have absolutely no value.
I mean,
Also-
the physical.
Oh god.
I mean, I guess it doesn't really make sense because the physical form of it can't hold its value. Like,
Nope.
you can't hold on to it and know that you have it. You have to have it in your Bitcoin wallet.
Well, you can put the hash of the Bitcoin wallet on an NFC chip inside the coin, so that way you can make it transferable. But
Jesus.
Yeah.
so you'd have a
transfer
Bitcoin. Yeah, you would, instead of trading the Bitcoin, you just trade the entire goddamn wallet. It's like, yeah, you have the Bitcoin wallet, which is just one Bitcoin. Well, just one Bitcoin would mean you now have $16,000, but.
Bizarre.
1628.1.
Anyway, to finish my point, so what was it trying to convey?
Who knows?
Something. Oh yeah. So if the EBC decides to print 1 trillion euros for no goddamn reason, you'll see that the gold price will go up quite significantly. So if you had 10,000 euros on your bank account, those 10,000 euros just for inflation would be worth, I don't know, 100. Whereas if you had gold, the value would go up.
Well, Artrix, one would expect in such a scenario, USD would also go up a lot. And everything that's not EU would go up a lot.
But if you only have euros and no gold, then the assets you have would decline. Because of inflation, your money is worth less. Whereas if you got gold,
unless you sell them on eBay for dollars, and then you go back to EU and become a millionaire.
But that's how you do it. So you got the gold, you sell it at that moment, and then you have that momentary wealth. It's much like Bitcoin. You buy Bitcoin at that moment. You don't have actual fiat money. You only have Bitcoins. But once you need fiat money, you cash it in. You got fiat money again, and then you can spend it. And if you got an inflationary currency and you invest it in Bitcoin, well, now it's worth a lot more of your fiat currency.
Well, the tricky part is to actually sell Bitcoin for money.
That's actually one of the things that's kind of keeping me from investing in Bitcoin, because I don't really understand how you go about trading Bitcoins in the first place.
Well, trading Bitcoins for other currencies, well, cryptocurrencies rather, is sort of easy.
Yeah,
you have
but-
exchanges for it, but trading it for money, it's kind of like,
That's
look, Artrix, it's an investment. The best excuse is like, so how do I buy food for this? It's an investment.
well, yeah. If you're expecting to use Bitcoin to go to the supermarket and buy shit, then you're an idiot.
Yeah, if you're expecting to use your money to buy stuff, then you are doing it wrong.
Well, that is if you treat Bitcoin as a payment currency, which it's just not. So it's
In
completely understandable.
other words, it's failing at its stated purpose.
I don't know if it was ever intended as a means to well, I guess it was, but
It was an alternative to currencies that exist in that it's not centralized and it's not regulated by governments.
it's doing
So-
that. It's doing that part. It's just not very useful for day to day.
Yeah, it's not doing the money part of it.
Well, yeah, it holds. It's a storage of value. but
Yes, but it's not money.
but due to its inherent design, it's not very good at the day-to-day operations thing.
All you can do with it is tip streamers and pay for commissions.
But
You can't even use it on Steam anymore.
But here's the thing, though. If Bitcoin were really to take off as a payment system, I'm pretty sure servers would pop up that would allow you to store your Bitcoins on their service, and you pretty much pay your things like you would with a regular bank, and you just pay them a small fee. So it would basically be the revival of the bank, but without the interest part. You wouldn't have banks providing loans.
How interesting.
And yes, funds. Anyway, we're running out of time. So, Sekele, do you have any topics you want to bring up still? Because I think
there is that whole thing about about how the British police stopped an assassin.
That was an interesting topic.
Yes, that was a thing that happened.
So
apparently some Muslim extremists were trying to assassinate Teresa May in order to stop Brexit from happening. Police stopped them before they got even close to her.
Little did he know that by not killing her, the Brexit is not gonna happen.
Anyway, like it's happening sort of, but by the looks of it,
not really.
It's just gonna be soft Brexit.
So they are going to soft Brexit, and that's all that xenophobia I read about it articles turn into soft xenophobia. It's like fuck off back to your country, mate, but you're all right.
Lol, I think my tablet just died midstream. That's funny.
Good job.
Well, not midstream because I'm pretty much done with this drawing anyway.
Did you render 70 layers of shadow on it, Artrix?
Yes. It's
done.
It's actually from what I've seen, it's probably the most rendered drawing. It's probably the best render of this dude in existence. Oh god, but yeah.
Except his fingers are in different places than in the
in the reference. Yeah.
But your webcam is still working.
Yeah, no, it's just the tablet that doesn't register.
Now the whole world can gaze into your nostrils, Artrix. Good job.
No, now they can gaze into my nostrils. Look at them. Look at my nostrils. You can. I bet you can even count all the nose hairs in there. Let's see. Except not really.
This turned into a very specific fetish stream really quick.
I'm pretty sure
see
that's.
two black holes.
Yes, because the resolution is kind of shit. But yeah, what else is there to say about it? It's just a bunch of dudes trying to assassinate Teresa May and failing at it, and.
Well, yeah, but this kind of shows. There is a popular conspiracy theory over here in Slovakia that the European Union is secretly being controlled by Saudi Arabia in order to forcibly turn everyone in Europe to Islam.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right, there's a non-forcible way of turning people to Islam.
It's always forcible.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, and this kinda adds to their entire shtick. That pulls gasoline on the fire.
Yes. Yes.
Mwahaha. That's
Also, I didn't look up anything about Catalonia. Chances are it doesn't even exist anymore. There's like a mall built instead of it.
Yeah, they just bulldozed the entirety of Catalonia and they just built a giant mall just out of spite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this is probably what would happen if EU was a federation.
Did they actually already did their second vote on independence? Or
I don't know.
still
It's supposed to happen in somewhere in this month, but I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Well, obviously they're gonna keep quiet now. Don't give people the impression that you actually have something to say in the world. No siree.
Let's Google it. Okay, Catalonia vote D, and it tries to suggest me December and deaths.
Yes. So when are they gonna have this vote? Before it's on the on Christmas Day. So no one will show up to vote because Christmas.
21st. Yes, it's on Christmas.
Oh God! Why?
Do not make them independent, I guess.
Yeah, just have it on December 1st when most people are too occupied with Christmas.
It's like okay, in 3 days we are going to exchange presents and pleasantries and fish and shit. Why do you really expect us to go voting?
But is this one organized by Catalonia or the central Spanish government?
Do you think Central Spanish government organize anything else but an army? Let's see.
It is probably the regional.
Let's see.
But
After
then,
the invocation of Article 155, which I don't know what is, presumably fuck Catalonia, Prime Minister Mariano Rajoy sacked the Catalan government and dissolved the parliament. That's always a nice thing to do. Calling a regional election for 21st December. Okay.
so, but yeah, the central Spanish government did seize control, so maybe it's them organizing it.
I mean, obviously the what is it called, the chief Catalonia penguin. Well, the last time I heard about him, he fled into it was Brussels or Belgium, something beginning with B, and they were like, "No, you're going back. You're gonna face the law." I am the law. Yes. and he's supposed to have a trial in December too, or something. I'm not sure exactly. They're going to return him in December.
Let's see, this is episode 86. Ooh. Right, save the file. Well,
Wait,
well,
is it already?
yeah, we kind of reached the end. I think we've been going on a bit too long even. Yeah, we've been going on for 1 hour and 46 minutes. So yeah, way too fucking long. This was episode 68 of Radio Rothingham, the world's least professional podcast on the internet. Like, subscribe, do that good shit. I actually don't think there's gonna be an episode next Friday, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna be one the Friday after. Well, I'm going to find out, and I'll keep you guys up to date in the
Later,
chat.
guys.
So yeah, bye or some shit like that. I don't know.
Okay.
And what were you trying to do tomorrow?
Well, tomorrow I'm going to celebrate Christmas.
Okay.
I'm gonna free Catalonia.
Okay, well, good luck with that.